quick, just like the chapter. What's up guys, Pencil here, and here we want to do a quick breakdown and review for chapter 262 of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is known as the Decisive Battle in the Uninhabited Demon-Infested Shinjuku Part 34. And we have so much to talk about, but so little time, so let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. Ending me, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up guys, that guy with a, wait, where are you, please? Pencil here. Fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, I have the watch on me and I keep it on me at all times. We got 4 minutes to talk about plot, characters, power scale, and future. So let's go with the 4 minutes on plot. This chapter is 50-50. If you think that the confirmation that Yuji and Toto are for now okay, and now have time to do like anything else is plot progression, and there's some decent plot progression in this chapter. Top that off with the fact that Sukuna is, ain't gonna make it easy. There's gonna be a battle here. It's clearly not gonna be an easy one. Those are 2 major plot points. A third possible major plot point in terms of plot progression is the confirmation that Rika just may not be doing nothing. Like don't get me wrong, I definitely get it, especially considering this isn't like a sentient creature, at least for the most part, unless we end up with like a, I don't know, a Kingdom Hearts situation where this Rika ends up developing a heart or like a soul, even though technically it's an empty husk, meaning the likelihood of it developing a heart or a soul in JJK, which doesn't run on Kingdom Hearts logic, is very low. Yet I highly doubt it's smart enough to recognize that Yuta's Goda, because like even the original Yuta is still wearing the ring, which implies the connection to the Rika, which is maintaining the connection for Yuta for the brain swapping technique, or not even brain swapping technique, the body hopping technique is still, like, it's tenuous, but still that's kind of big. Like, notably, I was actually kind of hoping that Rika would come in and clutch up. It's not, well, it kind of is impossible, though. We just haven't seen Rika, like, break the dimensional boundaries to, like, go inside a domain now. So Rika not helping, very big, at least in my opinion. Also, you know, Yuji and Toto being alive and well and outside the range of the domain. And so is everyone else. Don't get me wrong, I do get that they may want to be there immediately to help Goda, but, like, honestly, in my opinion, they should just leave. Like, they don't have too much time. Obviously, they only have 3 minutes, or possibly even less, depending on how well these two have their square off. Heaven forbid Sukuna damages Goda before in Malevolent Shrine tears apart the domain. As Sukuna himself says, he don't need no 3 minutes. But the big thing that's really a question here is, what are they going to do at this time? Like, obviously, they could just use the time to play catch-up. Toto could explain everything to Yuji, but ultimately, I don't think that's the move. I think the move is preparing for what comes after. Whether Goda wins or Goda loses. If Goda wins, hallelujah. They could just go right back in and hypothetically Yuji could keep on punching. I don't know, maybe the 9th or 10th Black Flash will do something. Because right now, we haven't seen Megami in months. Has it been months? Yeah, it's been months. It's been months because we saw him all the way back in like 252 when Yuta was still doing his original domain expansion. So maybe we can mink, and or prepare for, if Goda loses, either getting Goda out of there with Boogie Woogie, possibly saving him, or at least being prepared to take back over. Once again, the question really becomes what Sukuna's mindset is. At least according to him in this chapter, I don't need 3 minutes. I'll destroy a limited void and expand my effective range. This time, I'll be sure to slaughter them all. It's like, that clearly implies that he's not playing games anymore, which is, I know, a big thing that's got a lot of people happy, but has me concerned. Because if he does just expand domain after beating Goda inside domain, like, I'm not exactly sure what our casting crew is going to do. Like, the 90-second time limit or the 99-second time limit is fine, but, like, he doesn't have to expand it that far. If they're still there, standing outside, they're cooked regardless. So, the plot, it's still kind of in the same place. We're still fighting Sukuna, obviously. But in terms of, like, little major confirmations and plot points and clarifications that leave doors open massively for massive 50-50s, whatever Gege really wants to set us up for, I think we're doing good. I just give the plot like a solid, especially in comparison to a lot of recent chapters, despite being so short, I give this plot like a solid 8 out of 10. Like I know not too much happens, but a lot gets confirmed. And I think plot progression can be a mix of confirmation and actual plot progression, not just genuine plot progression. And plus, if you want to be real, we've been fighting Sukuna for a year now. Technically, the plot hasn't progressed at all, but obviously it's being a little bit too harsh, so I'm going to plot a nice juicy 8, possibly even a 9 out of 10. The only thing that would add this chapter is like a little bit more plot progression. But let's move on to characters. Now, this chapter does most of the work for the two combatants involved in it and a bit of Rika, I'd say Yuji and Todo, kind of like last chapter, they definitely do sort of get sidelined. Like, notably, Yuji's back up, which is nice. It goes to show that that punch, while it didn't knock him down and catch him off guard, it didn't, like, take him out of the fight. He's not... which is good for his character. But Todo also just being here, he doesn't get to say a word, so this isn't really their chapter. This is a Sukuna, a Gota, and a Rika chapter. For that, I do have to say, it fits all the characters perfectly. And in a roundabout way, this is also a Gojo chapter. Because the way that these two show off their mindsets here shows a fundamental difference between them, and I think that's very important. All that Gota says here is, within these 3 minutes, I'll damage Sukuna to the point that he can't use Malevolent Shrine. So, Gota is still locked in on the mission. He doesn't say, I'll eradicate Sukuna. He doesn't say, I'll defeat Sukuna. He doesn't say, I'll wear down Sukuna. No. He wants to beat him enough that he can't maintain Malevolent Shrine, and then a limited void's going to hit, and then he's going to be paralyzed. What does that imply to me? Ain't still going for the head. And while I think he gets more and more and more and more and more and more and more ludicrous the longer and longer they play these stupid games, hey, that's the point of trying to maintain their humanity. And obviously, I'm definitely getting more into the idea of the monster versus the humanity idea. Technically, no matter how many lives they lose, as long as they save Megami in the end, it's worth it on like a moral spectrum. Do I think Megami's worth that? No, but I made that opinion clear before, so obviously it makes sense that Gota's still in that perspective. But once again, it does feed into the whole idea of last chapter, the idea of Yuta trying to become a monster when he could never be a monster, just because of the way he's thinking. Meanwhile, we have the actual monster in Roman Sukuna who's like, I don't need 3 minutes. I'll destroy a limited void and expand my effective range. This time, I'll be sure to slaughter them all. Once again, goes to show Sukuna having that fundamental difference between Gota and the rest. He does not care. He's been having fun this entire time, but now... it's getting a little bit boring. Nothing but punch and kick merchants left, right, and center. He punched and kicked Maki. He punched and kicked Choso. They lit him on fire. He punched and kicked Yuji. He wasn't able to punch and kick Todo yet, but still, Todo's annoying. So obviously, there's no point in trying to punch and kick him. He already had a whole punch kick session with Gojo. So, whatever. Slaughter them all. A fundamental difference. Once again, Sukuna doesn't really care about humanity, and you see that in his mentality. However, one thing I also like is it proves that, once again, Nozo Satoru is the strongest because he Satoru Gojo. He wasn't Satoru Gojo because it was the strongest. Mainly because Yuta, someone who has the exact same kit, down to the fundamentals, and I'm gonna say it, being able to perform a limited void at all, even if it's just pure muscle memory and previous practice, still is the apex of the limitless. Yuta has everything that Gojo has to offer. I'm pretty sure everything else in the Limitless Toolkit falls below the domain expansion, the most complex and most apex thing one can do. And he still gets dogged on by one of the weakest Sukunas we've seen. Once again, the only possible, and I mean possible, because I don't even think so, the way Megano was moving, the only possible weaker Sukuna we've seen is the one that was right after the Gojo fight, the one that used the Binding Vow World King Slash. Yuta's still getting pieced up. And admittedly, it's only 2 punches. That's what everyone's been saying. That's what I've been saying. That's why I'm not too crazy on slandering Yuta and or Gojo through this. But still, the fact that he got 2-pieced so easily by a Sukuna who literally used his nubs in order to redirect one of Gota's hits, yeah. Gojo, he wouldn't let that slide. You know what I'm talking about? But hey, Gojo is the strongest because he's Satoru Gojo. Gota is not Satoru Gojo. He's somebody completely different, and he's still getting his hands on the controls. So give him some time. Let him cook. Just a teeny tiny bit. He's whipping up a meal. Calm down. Please, get off my boy's back. Get off his back. Rika, once again, the question of whether or not this is a character or a husk, and whether or not either of that makes it stupid is both up in the air. I'm personally fine with Rika not intervening just yet, and I think this does low-key set up a hypothetical Yuta return, considering it doesn't seem like his head is cut open. Maybe. I don't know. But let's move on to the scaling. Once again, Yuji and Todo, they're kind of like exempt because, they don't really get in on the battle. But the scaling here. Now, I've always been a proponent that the physical-based body matters a whole lot. You've been hearing me rep this since ad infinitum, like ever since the ever since the Yuji and Yuta fight. I've always been about it. You can hear it in all my videos. I think the physical-based body matters in terms of your first energy reinforcement. That's why I always had True Form Suguna above Meguna and Yuji-kuna and all of them, because it's literally the perfect physical form. And I think that goes to show here that, yeah, even while his output is nerfed to the ground, he has 2 nubs, is still probably manually pumping his heart, and he's down a whole eye. This Sukuna in one interaction goes better against a variation of Gojo than any of what Megana did. And of course, Megana has special circumstances. I'll go more in depth on like how you can kind of see in the original Gojo fight that Sukuna was holding back on Gojo, in the sense that he wasn't using domain amplification to fight back, except for little spurts here and there. But this is a very clear case. He just easily wins the hand-to-hand exchange, abuses Blue, actually, to allow himself to be drawn in, and uses that physical advantage over Gojo, or over Goda, to just mink. However, once again, I don't think this puts Gojo or Goda scaling in the trash just yet. One, because Yuta's still getting used to the controls, and two, Yuta wasn't expecting it. Obviously, we know you can, like, further reinforce different parts of your body if you're expecting the hits to come in, and while Goda is likely trying to reinforce everything to the max, I once again use the example that I used in, I believe, the Spo discussion of the long play review. Hey, imagine I hand you a controller, fresh off wake up, and I need you to play at your peak performance. Are you doing that? I can tell you I'm not. I can really tell you I'm not. That is beyond my pay grade. And I'm assuming Yuta's in the same position right now. So yeah, of course, these two punches are embarrassing. These two punches are feeding the Sukuna agenda through the moon. And obviously it does sort of play into my own agenda that physical, true form Sukuna is the best variation of Sukuna, at least in terms of physically and curse energy reinforcement, because it outputs in the trash and he's still able to easily mink Gojo up with domain amplification, proving that at least Gojo's passive level of infinity is not enough for true form Giga Nerf Sukuna's domain amp, which is crazy, because remember how Giga Nerf this Sukuna is. 8 black flashes, still got brain damage, and numerous regular hits from Yuji, and he's still able to do this much. Obviously, the Sukuna agenda, they're just... My agenda on Sukuna's forms... The Sukuna fans, they're gobbling up. And they're going to be gobbling for a while, because as we are on a 21-day break, yeah, we're going to have to live with this. We're going to have to hold this. It's heavy. It's hefty. It's got some weight to it. Golly gee willikers, this thing thick. Then I'll snap. I'll say. But regardless, the scaling is the opener. It's a palate. Not a cleanser, but a palate appetizer. I'm not going to tell you this as definitive just yet. I'm going to have to wait to see Goda start cooking more. I'm going to see Goda's mentality, and I'm going to have to see how much he can raise up that output once he finally gets his hands on the controls. You know, everybody struggles a little bit. I'm trying to learn Slayer and Guilty Gear Strive, and I suck at using the Dandy Slide, at Mappa Hunches. I still don't know how to Kara cancel. I'm really bad at Strive. I need to practice Strive horrifically. But catch me in Dragon Ball, and I'm still not the good. But still, it's levels to it. Yuta's been playing Dragon Ball for years now. He's been in the game since 2018. But right now, he just picked up Strive because he liked the previous arcs of his game. He's moved on to the next one. So allow him to get controls on. He's playing Soul Bad Guy right now. Was that the best top tier? Yeah, I'd say so. Let's go. Well, maybe not the best comparison, top tier, but Soul's still high tier, top tier. So we can lean with it. We can rock with it. The scaling is solid. I give it a nice, juicy little 10 out of 10. But that's my agenda feeding right there. And obviously, same thing for the character work. I actually like it a lot, 10 out of 10. But finally, let's talk about the future. Obviously, I think the main thing we're going to focus on is this battle. While I am still 100% itching, scratching, feeling for Hikari vs. Urume, and I think the likelihood of that battle getting on screen is slowly getting lower and lower and lower and lower. I don't fully see us cutting away, mainly because, I mean, it's not the weirdest point. But I'm trying to think of the last big cutaway we did to a major battle with another one of the big 3 major antagonists right now of Kenjaku, Urume, and Sukuna. That was very specifically at the end of a battle. For Gege to cut away right now when we're in the middle of a crux battle that only has 3 minutes of runtime, I'm not sure. But at the same time, I wouldn't knock it, but I keep saying I wouldn't knock it. You know, I've been itching, scratching, and fiending for it. I wouldn't knock it mainly because after this, considering Gege, I believe in a recent interview, said we're reaching the climax of this arc, and we still have another arc after this, I think Hikari vs. Urume does need to be wrapped up, because win or lose, it's going to be Yuji versus Sukuna. Whether Goda wins, and it's going to be Goda, Todo, and Yuji versus Sukuna, or whether Goda loses, it's going to be Yuji, Todo, or possibly just Yuji versus Sukuna. That's what's coming up next, in the macro sense. But on the micro sense, Hikari vs. Urume needs to be wrapped up, no matter who wins. Notably, I'm still in the camp that Hikari is probably going to win, because, like, please get that man a dub somehow. That does not apply to situational circumstances. I don't care if you had to stall him for 15 minutes. Hey, stall him for 15 minutes is sometimes all you need to do. But that's what I feel like is up next the most. But for next chapter in particular, like when we're 3 weeks down in the early bits of July and we're seeing the leaks for 263, I'm expecting to see a continuation of this battle. And I'm expecting to see a change in tactics. Obviously, I think this has taught Goda that, yeah, you can't try to use the same basic tactics you were taught. I think we're going to have to see Yuta start evolving and mixing and doing things that he didn't normally do, and I think that's going to be interesting to see. Once again, this battle still does have potential. Of course, it's a battle that only lasts 3 minutes, but considering this whole interaction likely takes place in, what, like 15 seconds? And we never really got to see a full extensive battle between Gojo and Sukuna in Domain. I think this is a good time for Gege to flesh out how the two would actually interact, how Sukuna would interact while he's actually fighting back using Domain amplification, how much Sukuna's output is nerfed versus how much of Gojo's output is not nerfed, and seeing how much some reds, how much some lapse blues, how much an unlimited hollow could do. I think there's so much that could come of this battle, even with both characters, one barely knowing the controls and the other character being nerfed into the ground. Just because of how these two characters match up, it's still, in a way, Gojo versus Sukuna. And obviously, that is, I'd say it's the most popular fight in the series at this point. Like, I know there are a bunch of Akari versus Kachimo stands out there that are still holding out hope. My favorite battle in the series to this day is still, like, in terms of character work, Mahito and Todo versus... No, Mahito, not Mahito and Todo. Mahito versus Todo and Yuji, but in terms of, like, spectacle, I still am the biggest fan of the Sendai free-for-all, but Gojo versus Sukuna is the most popular thing. It had the most room for creativity. I think we're back in that creative well for Gege, where they can really get in their bag, start ripping that whipping that wrist up into creating a fantastic battle. And once again, further proving, who was Satoru Gojo? Was he a man defined by his strength, or was he a person who defined his strength by being a specific type of man? That's what this battle is going to continue to explore. And while I still am in the camp that Yuta is digidestined to get pop, 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 I still am excited to see Yuta Okkotsu in the body of Satoru Gojo cook a little bit against the Game of Curses, because I think he's the final wall to knock Sukuna down to Yuji's proper level. Maybe, just maybe, he needs to tear off that other big old bulbous eyeball. However, I'm out of time. But if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please do me a favor and leave a king's soul. A king's soul. That's long. You can just leave King's Soul. Like on my Hollow Knight players are like, wait, King's Soul? But yeah, leave King's Soul in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that little case bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do happen to have a Patreon below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some perks will include the live reaction to this very chapter, and free variations of all my videos, and if you become a $25 patron or a $25 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also, I do have a link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below, where you can drop 5 beans for a short video, 25 beans for a long video, or any support at all is always greatly appreciated. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That with a Pencil, writing off. I'd like to thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays, Greyhound, Kids Void, Astro, Eternal Flame, King Sukuna, NMA, Real Rare, Paris Arnold, G Prosper, and Red Wolf 4765. And I'd like to thank you to our $5 patrons, Steron, Sean, Sammy, Midnight Lord 21, Kevin, Encarnacion, Josh Brown, and A+A. And I'd like to thank you to our $7 patrons, Autumn Mornings Lazo, and Fine. And I'd like to thank you to our $10 members, Robbie Uchiha and Jay Warrior. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $10 patrons, Panda Goat, Metal Solid Crisis, Joaquin Munoz, and Joaquin Munoz, along with Idemokami. And I'd like to give a final gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.